The three presentations, and now we are going to see the next presentation from Giuliano Ramat from the Association of GSMA, coming from Italy, and he is going to introduce application of gvSIG in.
¿Cómo se hace?
Sorry, but I'm going to do my lecture in English because these countries, the countries involved in my project, are English-speaking countries.
About two projects we have deal in Kenya and Somaliland, and here you have the authors. It's me and Antonio Falciano, who has carried out all the GIS implementation for the extension, and Maurizio Fodera, who has carried out all the activities concerning GPS training. This is the first project that it's in Somaliland. It's the northern part of Somalia. It's carried out by Terre Solidali and funded by UN Habitat. And its main goal is to implement, to modernize all the sector about finance of the local municipalities, of the bigger cities of Somaliland. Basically, there are 8 cities, and our target was to support the local office of gvSIG. gvSIG is located here, about building a sort of cadastral of the main building of the city. The second one was to provide local Kenya Forest Council with a tool to map and survey a wide hill forest that is located in the southwest part of Kenya, namely close to the Lake Victoria. And it's a project funded by European Union, and it's carried out by CEFA, that is Italian NGO from Bologna. Basically, the main objectives of the two consultancy was more or less the same. It is to see that we have to provide the local partner with a GIS product that is easy to use and update regularly. Just to open a parenthesis, that local partner did not have any knowledge about GIS, GPS, collect data, mapping, and so on. So we really start from zero for the geometrical point of view. And in both cases, they have only some sources of data with the maps, paper maps, book with the field with handwritten. So it's really a big improvement to move from paper-based to electronic-based for information. And as well, we strengthen to full develop all these tools with open source technology, because we want to sustain the activities only in the future. And this is also the reason because we give a lot of importance to the training, because we don't want to give a product without a future sustainability. So if we give a product without training, it's useless, according to our philosophy. As well, these products can be replicated in other main similar neighboring environments. I mean, forest, Kenya has a lot of forest, and as well in Somaliland there are other cities that can replicate, they can double this tool. And this information can be linked with existing data or existing procedures. So it's not like a standalone application, but can be linked to what exists already. Can be highly customized, and eventually we can translate this extension in local languages, Somali or Swahili, and so they can easier understood by local people, because usually they speak English, but it's not so evident. And in both cases, we can provide precise measurement of interesting targets, so let's say vegetation or urban settlements. So how is the activities workflow? First of all, we start from training, because as I told you before, there is no previous knowledge, nothing, before we started the activities. So it's both training and as well training on the job, so during the activities, both on the field and in class. Meanwhile, we are starting to develop a dedicated gvSIG 1.12 portable version with a user-friendly interface, because must be user-friendly because, as I told you, no knowledge, so otherwise someone can get scared about it. Local people started field data collection, points and information. We receive field data for check, for consistency. Then they started data entry, points to polygon in the case of Somaliland, and in both cases, information and field photos to link to the information in the GIS. Then we provide with them customized queries according to their needs, and then the outputs. Okay, as I told you before, this is GIS training, and in Somaliland we carried out some like 3 weeks of training in 2 different sessions. We go on site, and we make training with local people, local technicians. As well, we provide as well remote assistance in between and after the training. On the other side, in Kenya, we provide only remote training through Skype because there was some problems ongoing there because it was not so close to Nairobi, so it was not so easy to access, and it was not so easy to make persons stay there for 1 week on the row. So we arranged 7 days of training weekly. And at the end, we issue an official certificate of gvSIG training, and they were very happy about it. As I told you before, in Somaliland, we perform as well the field training. This is Maurizio Fodera, our consultant for GPS, and we use differential GPS. So we train them how to set up the main station, how to go and collect data, and also with differential GPS, how to collect data in inaccessible points and to drive the right points, and how to fill the field sample, the field forms. And also consider that since the goal of Somaliland was to build up a sort of cadastre, we was obliged, let's say, to use a differential GPS, because otherwise the risk to have an error of a few meters was quite high, and if we make error of 1 or 2 meters in cadastre, it's really huge. So we use some differential GPS. Okay, as well, as I told you before, we set up always sharing the information with the local counterpart. I mean, we didn't provide the form and give to them. We set up the field forms together with them, field by field, value by value, and so it was completely shared decision. And the field forms was easy to fill, and we avoid as much as possible to leave free text. Because, as you know, it's very easy to make some mistakes, to write a name with a different way. So it's, we try to use as much as possible checkbox, drop-down list, and yes or no. So the possibility to have errors was really minimized. We see this is an example of field data collection. Local people went in the field, and the people was quite surprised and curious to see this differential GPS. It was nice to see. And you see these different targets, so different tools. In the forest, we didn't need high precision survey. So it was sample with GPS, normal GPS, with the vegetation information. We go in 1 point, it was, we defined the plot radius, the area to examine it, and then they collect information about vegetation in this sample. On the other side, in Somaliland, they get the corner of each building, and they collect information about the socioeconomic information as well. So who was the owner, from how long, how many persons went to school, who was the main activities of the head of the family. So there's a lot of information that cannot, they're not only limited to the cadastre, but it was also, let's say, a socio-economical survey that can be used also for other purposes. Remember that the donor was UN Habitat, so the more information we get, the more useful it is for the donor. How was the data management workflow? People go in the field, they collect GPS in 3D. Then you see this is the 2 extensions we have developed, Antonio Falciano has developed, so they say that they are easy tool that guide the user throughout all the procedures, so they don't have to look in and out, left or right, where is the dedicated command tool, but they find them all in the row by just clicking on the extension tool. So from 3D to 2D, then automatically label the 2D collected points so they can easily see which is the name of the collected point through the GPS. Then from Somaliland, through derivative geometries, they derive polygons, let's say the boundary of the houses from the corner, then they merge polygons all together, and then they make a data entry. On the other hand, on Kenya, they didn't need to merge because it was just sampling points in the forest, and then they merged the scheme to have the same scheme for the data entry for every single point, and then they started with the data entry according to the form that we have developed together with them. And you see this is the merge scheme that once they start the options merge, automatically the system suggests which is the scheme to merge with the collected data in order to have the same data, the same field to use for data entry and do not risk to miss some information. Okay, well, we had developed the form starting from the nav table forms. Yesterday you have seen a presentation about this. And the nav table forms allow the implementation of user-friendly custom forms based on nav table, but with further functionalities such as date, drop-down, change the domain values, some validation rules. And so how we have used these nav table forms. First of all, we have defined data model together with local partner. So which is the information, what are the information you can collect, how you can collect, how they are linked each other, which are the values you can enter in the form. Then we have defined the field forms as much user-friendly as possible for the people that has to go in the field. Then we designed the sketch with pencil, then I will show you, and so we can submit to the attention of the local partner the sketch in order to be approved. Then with Avail Form Designer we have improved the form, and then all the gvSIG extension that say that the drop-down menu list that can guide the user throughout all the procedure. You see, Pencil project can be used with all platforms, so both for Linux and Windows, and it's very useful because you see that you can give also a spreadsheet or a Word or a document file to the local partner, but if you show in this way, it's easier to understand, easier to comment, easy to receive some suggestions, some different proposal. So in this way, this is the form we suggest for Kenya, and you see that's plot number, if there is the soil erosion, yes or not, which type, it was felling or cutting, grazing, yes or not, and how much was the intensity, how much was the species, and which kind, and frequency, and so on. So we send them regularly, updating this form, and then we receive their feedback in order to modify, to integrate, to erase, or to improve, or to integrate with other commands. When we set up the final approved, let's say, form through Pencil, we have started to implement, to develop the final interface through Avail Form Designer, and then we submit to them this form preview in order to be the official approval from them. So once we have all together, the last step was to implement the gvSIG extension through Java. Okay, this is, let's say, our result for Kenya. The same is for Somaliland, and I will show you as well. And you see that it's user-friendly. We have all the information they need. So the surveyor is not me, but just for example. As well, this data tool that is very easy, and it avoid the risk of typing month and day one and the other, you see that the English system and our system is different, so month or day or day or month. And so in this way it was easier, and we remove any misunderstanding, and all the tools are dropped down, and as well the basic tool of nav table are together present. You see, this is the version we implement for Somaliland. And in this way, for example, the building ID is automatically created, and before in local there was some confusion because maybe the same two different buildings had the same code. So through this procedure, we avoid the problem to have two houses with the same code. So once it's finished, all the houses in gvLAG will have one code, unique code, and can be linked to the taxation procedure to have the exact measurement of the house with the exact code and no way of misunderstanding. As I told you before, the data entry has made easier as possible through drop-down list or checkbox. Then they collect photos for each houses, and this is a path so they can point in the photo, and through gvSIG the automatically link is updated. So after the data entry, if they click on every single surveyed houses, the picture will come out and make easier the comprehension of which houses we are speaking about. And as I told you, the nav table standard tools are always present, so filter, select, delete, save, print, and so on. Why? Okay. So this is the form in action. Also in with the forest, you see that, for example, if we select two kind of tree species, only two kind of tree species can be inserted. And so you see that, so if we make an error here they realize that they made an error, so they can change, improve or decrease the number here and have more species to enter. And the kind of species they can enter change according to the forest area. So if it is a natural forest, they will be allowed to enter some kind of species. If there is anthropic forest, the other species can be entered. The same, slightly different, but the same philosophy in gvLAG. For example, they told us that two families, no more, can live in the same house. So here they can select how many families live in the house, one or two, and according to their selection, they can enter one or two family information. And on the other side, if they select that this is a commercial building, so a school or a shop, these fields are not active because no family can live in a school or a shop. So as I told you, we try to make as easy as possible and to reduce as much as possible the errors. In case they want to add some values, for example, the kind of activities of the head of the family, it's very easy. They just edit with a text editor, WordPad, Notepad, whatever, a .domain files that are in the extension. They just add comma, semi-comma, the extended, comma, the short name, and is automatically updated in a drop-down list, the add values, allowed values for the data enter. Okay, the result of Somaliland and as well the constraints, they made 30 field survey days. That's not so much, but it's enough. And in 30 days, they surveyed about 800 polygons. It represents more or less the 20% of the total of the city. The constraints that during the training on the job, it was the first day. So out of these 30 days, you have to take out some days for the training, and it was not so effective. And the survey teams has changed. So during some internal problems, we have to redo, let's say, some training on the job on the field. And as I told you before, there's no previous experience on survey, no GPS, no GIS. So it was According to this, carry out 800 polygons in 30 days. It was quite a good result for us. For Kenya, they are right now work in progress, survey in progress. So we hope next year to present a fully result, more complex as well. And our future goals is to publish both collected data with, let's say, Somaliland and Kenya in a WebGIS open, easy to manage and update, because this is the real focus of open source, I mean, that can be shared and updated regularly. And this represents quite an innovation for this country, where no data geometry existed before, or very few, and now we hope that step by step they are going towards in this philosophy and share knowledge, increase knowledge, and publish collected data. And here you have the 3 email of the authors, and if there is any question, I can also answer in Spanish without any problem. Okay? Thanks a lot.
Muchas gracias, Giuliano. Muy interesante la presentación.
Thank you, Giuliano. Questions for the end of the presentation.